Anna, Joshua. While the incense is being lighted, we will recite the incense offering found in the flyer in your booklet. And we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We as Earth herself, careful awareness, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. We bow. Morning. I know if you looked on the schedule, today is supposed to be Jingsu sitting here, but his wife is under the weather, so he's staying home to take care of her and the children. So you're stuck with me. If you will open your booklet to page 7 and please stand. We'll begin with our refuge vows.
I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
Buddhist scripture is massive. Within the Pali Canon, there are 52 volumes about this one. But it has all been distilled down into two smaller scriptures, the Dhammapada, which most of you are aware of, and it's a very beloved book, and also the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra is the foundational scripture of this temple. And we're going to recite it now. It's on the next page. And we chant the title at the beginning and at the end.
Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, Varagate, Arasamgate, Bodhisvaha. Lama Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra.
Please be seated. As I said, Jingsu was supposed to be sitting here. There's an illness, and he's dealing with that. I received that text as I was driving down Lafayette towards Folsom. So as a teacher, we have been trained to always have a Dharma talk in our pocket. I have 6. No. But before I say anything, I want to give you a chance to say something. Does anybody have any question, any comment, any idea? Is there anything anyone would like to share before I do?
My name's Nikita. I just got back from college, so I'm really happy to be here today, especially in person and no mask. So I'm just really grateful to be here.
Well, good. We're glad you're here.
Hello, I'm Barbara Olson. I'm wondering if we could dedicate today's service to Patrick Lyola.
Barbara wanted to know if we could dedicate today's service to Patrick Lyola. Lyola, I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes, if no one has an issue, we can, it is so dedicated. And if you will note, an image of Patrick has been placed on our Jesus shrine. For those of you who don't know, this little shrine here is a shrine to family and friends who have died. So everything up there is been left there by somebody on behalf of someone who they have lost. All right. Right before we chanted the Heart Sutra, I explained that it is the foundational sutra of this temple. Now, whenever I'm giving a Dharma talk, I always begin by explaining some bit of it, some piece. I see several new faces here, and it's always good to rehash. So I'm going to go through the Heart Sutra stanza by stanza to help perhaps come to an understanding, a better understanding of it. Also, my first Dharma talk given at the original temple many, many moons ago was on the Heart Sutra. And I have chanted it every day ever since. I have spoken about it several times, and I share it with people. And when I gave that first Dharma talk, I probably understood the Heart Sutra that much. I now understand it this much. Okay, it is a work in progress. Me sitting here talking to you about this is as much me learning and you learning. And I would say if you have a comment at any time, want to ask a question, want to correct something, or throw in your own 2 cents, raise your hand. No politics or remarks about my socks. That's all I ask. All right. The title, the Mahaprajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, I went from Sanskrit to Pali. Maha means great. You've all heard the term Maharaja, the great king. Okay, Prajnaparamita, that is something that word comes up several times in the sutra itself. And it simply, it means the perfection of wisdom. The perfection of wisdom is my observation of something, observing it as it is without putting my opinion, my belief, my want, my desire, even my label on it. Just letting this thing, whatever it is I'm seeing, be it. We tend to, I'm going to use the plural here. I'm sorry, but I tried to talk singular here with me. But when we look at something, when we observe something, when we smell, taste, hear something, we usually label it. That's good. That's bad. That's indifferent. We like to qualify it, give it a reason, give it a name. And so we do that with everything. And that is important. It helps us not step in front of a bus. It helped us when we were still on the plains in Africa evolving. And is that a plot of pretty flowers or is that a leopard? We had to discern, we had to see, we had to discover. But that important evolutionary ability can get in our way now because we do that with people, we do that with things, we label them. You are whatever you are, but I see you and I label you based on what I see, based on my experience. And that's not fair to you, it's not fair to me. And that is what Prajnaparamita is referring to, that we observe things simply as they are without discrimination. And we sometimes have to discriminate for safety, but I hope you're getting what I'm telling you here. Just to let something be itself without me defining it, without you defining it. The first line is the Bodhisattva of great compassion. And I see by the time we're not going to get through all this, but we'll get as far as we can. The Bodhisattva is great compassion. Bodhisattva is an individual who has achieved enlightenment, but who has deign to not become Buddha until everyone else has done so. That person has decided to stay part of the world. And that's what some of these other statues, other than the Buddha, they are of bodhisattvas. The bodhisattva of great compassion, Avalokiteshvara. They, and you can believe this, like I've said many times, metaphorically or literally. Is there a being called Avalokiteshvara somewhere trying to help, or is Avalokiteshvara a personification, a symbol of compassion? From the deep practice of Prajnaparamita, what I just said about Prajnaparamita, about it being me observing something simply as it is a very easy thing to do, to say, excuse me. I can say that and say that and say that. But then the practice comes in doing it. And I'm not even doing it now. I'm looking and seeing different colored shirts, different colored people, different colored hair, and it's all becoming part of my system here. But it's the practice that we don't allow, let me rephrase that. It's part of the practice that we let a thing be itself without interjecting into it. Through this practice, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, perceived the emptiness of the five skandhas and helped and is helping all beings be relieved of their dukkha, their anxiety, their stress, their suffering. Now, let me back up. What are the five skandhas? The five skandhas are a way of defining each individual. I think of myself as an individual. I have a history, I have experiences, I have likes and dislikes, wants, desires. I feel, taste, touch, hear. And that is what I think of as my personality, as my being. The five skandhas are form and feeling and thought and impulse and consciousness. So I see something, I hear something, that's a form, and I immediately categorize it, make a judgment on it, have thoughts about it. And I'm skimming over this because you're going to be doing this the rest of your life. But that word emptiness is the most important word in this sentence, the emptiness of the five skandhas. All form is emptiness, and form and emptiness is form. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. Everyone in here is here because you had a father and a mother who created you, put their genes together, and you are here. You are also here because you breathe the air, you drink the water, you have eaten food. You are what you are because of all the experiences you have had. You just didn't come into being like that. I'm dry. The paper of this book did not just come into being. Everything physically, thought, emotion, has a reason, has a cause. And that's what emptiness means. And sometimes that word emptiness can get in the way of our practice of of Buddhism. It simply means we're all interconnected. Zach, I'm seeing you look at me questioningly. You want to say something? Okay.
Thank you. Hi. I was just wondering, is there other translations of this Heart Sutra?
Oh, yes. There's one right here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's in there. But yes, there's multiple.
And is like emptiness like the word that is?
Well, it's usually emptiness because the original word in In Sanskrit and Pali was shunyata. And I don't know the exact, I could look it up on my phone, but the exact meaning of that word, but that's what it means.
It describes a lack.
Yeah, lack is something in there, yeah.
Just a lack.
The
I
lack of
see.
substance.
Okay, because I was just curious. Sometimes translations of like old text too can often be like word that means something different in a different time
Right.
period. So just
And
curious.
that's why it is nice to read something in more than one translation. And that's why when I was talking about suffering, I don't like that translation, suffering. I don't like that at all. The word is dukkha, and that word is better translated by stress or anxiety or even discomfort.
I see.
It's like if I said to you, what is love? And you said, well, it's affection. You know, affection's in there, but it's a huge word being defined by a little teeny thing.
Okay.
And that's what dukkha is. So I have rewritten this for myself and my personal, when I do in my personal morning practice, and I put the word stress in there.
Mm.
Instead of suffering, I say stress.
Hmm.
All right?
Thanks.
Okay, where was I? Stressing that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And she, Shariputra, by the way, Avalokiteshvara is speaking, is telling this, giving this teaching of the Heart Sutra to Shariputra. Shariputra was the Buddha's most intelligent, greatest student. If I was a Christian, I would use the word disciple. I like the word student better because that's what Buddhism is. It is school. It's a lifelong learning process. I'm a teacher. I have a teacher. I have a student. He has students. We are all, and you're my teachers. We are all teaching each other. We are learning. So Shariputra was the Buddha's greatest student, and he's also a great teacher. Now the third stanza, O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. And I've stressed this before. That word dharma has two meanings. If you see it with an uppercase D, it is referring to the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha Dharma, they call it. When it's a lowercase d like this, a simple way to remember it is just to use the word thing. All, O Shariputra, all things are empty. And that goes back to what I was talking about, emptiness, shunyata. Nothing exists in and of itself. Nothing has just spontaneously come into being. And I'm not a physicist, although I like physics, but I know that right now the leading theory is there was a singularity, and that singularity suddenly expanded, and here's the universe. Now, where did that singularity come from? I don't know. We're not even going to go there. The Buddha once said, to talk about the beginning and the ending is impossible. It's unknowable. And he's a little wiser than I, so I will defer to that. And to understand the very beginning or the very ending has very little to do with my day-to-day existence. In my day-to-day existence, I try to be mindful, try to be aware that there's a human being here, not nothing, and to treat you the way I want to be treated, treat you the way I want to be treated. And the negative of that, not do to you what I don't want done to me, and not do to you what I don't want done to me. That is, for me, the daily practice, not worrying about the beginning or the ending. It's just how I live my life in this moment, now in this moment. Because this moment's gone the minute we touch it. I am going to stop here and ask my student, Gaji Su, what does the Heart Sutra mean for you? What has it taught you?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, teacher. The Heart Sutra for me has recited every morning. And for some reason, I know the skandhas are in there, but I didn't realize the 5 skandhas were there. So I kind of was like, oh, that is there. And sometimes skandhas also translates to piles or heaps. But the thing that the stanza number 6, the 6th stanza, I always go back to that because it goes through the 4 noble truths. There is suffering, there's a cause of suffering, there's cease from suffering, and there's a path to lead out of suffering. But in the Heart Sutra, it says, no, there's no suffering. No, there's no cause of suffering. No, so it's kind of confusing at first when you're reading this. But the biggest takeaway for me is that the last line, there's nothing to attain. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to walk a path. The reason we do that is because it's covered up. There's this murky mud. I don't know. It's just all this stuff from our parents and our society. It just builds up. But in reality, there's this golden awakened Buddha nature within each one of us. And the Buddha didn't create this path. He didn't form it. He found it. He discovered it. He realized it. Well, he didn't attain it. He just it was already there, and he just had to figure it out. And so, and the prajna means wisdom, and I think, is that Sanskrit? And perfection of the paramita, I think, is perfection. So perfection of wisdom, and it's being expounded by Avalokitesvara, who in some traditions is a man, and some traditions is a woman, and in some traditions are both. So it's like, it's really fascinating when you start really learning and studying this text. And I think I will be studying this text for the rest of my life. I'll be a lifelong student of the Buddha and of this text, because I learned something new like the skandhas. I mean, I knew it was there, but I realized that, oh, the skandhas are in this teaching as well. So just, there's nothing to attain. We have everything, but the reason we are studying and practicing is because we have all this stuff in the way, and we got to kind of try to clear it out. So that's what I got. Thank you.
That's it. Just let whatever is not Buddha fall away. Did you hear what I said? Just let. Yeah. You mentioned the 6th stanza. You know, the 4 noble truths. There is stress. There is a reason. There's freedom from it, and there's a path. And then they say there's not. And the wisdom of that is to go back to that emptiness thing. There is nothing to attain. It's all. This is just the 4 noble truths are simply a way to remind us of something, to remind us of what we can do or not do. It is just an idea. It is a concept, and concepts are helpful until we make a gospel or an idol out of them. And so the 4 noble truths are a concept which guide us and help us. I am stressed, and I am stressed because of this. And I know that there is relief from this stress, and I will experience that release by doing this. Those are all just concepts and ideas. And if I were to hold on to those as tightly as anything else, now I'm not practicing Buddhism, I'm practicing worship of the 4 noble truths. Any thoughts, ideas, questions? Oh, hi. I didn't know you were here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Egyesu. Something that I really appreciate that you pointed out was the no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, and no path to lead out of suffering. And in my own studies, something that I am frequently reminded of is that there are 2 sides to one coin. So there is suffering and joy, but they are not separate. They are part of the same thing. So when we are looking at a seemingly unsatisfactory situation. Maybe it's a toothache. I really appreciate the way Thich Nhat Hanh often uses that analogy. When you are in pain with a toothache, all you can think about is not having the toothache. But when you don't have the toothache, we often forget to appreciate having good teeth when we have them. And I myself, having been to the dentist various times over my whole life, can appreciate that very deeply. So there is that understanding which we cultivate throughout our lives, that there are two sides to this coin of our existence, and it is important to recognize both when they are there. So it's not that life is suffering or life is unsatisfactory, because at times life is also very much full of joy and peace.
Hi. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but I know it came to my mind when we were talking about the emptiness as form and form as emptiness. I remember in a reading that I had done, and it really stood out to me about the this foamy mass of bubbles that keeps forming. But the bubbles on the outside are of course popping and disappearing, but they keep appearing though at the same time as they are disappearing. So it's like always constantly evolving or changing form. So it's never the same thing it was at any moment in time as we kind of keep moving forward, but it's still there, but it's not the same thing. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but it just came to my mind. And I always thought that was just a good metaphor for whatever it is, that I can't put words to in this existence. So.
Good morning, all. I'm Yang Su. An interesting thing in here, and sometimes you'll particularly hear Zen masters try to confuse you. And so we go, for there is nothing to attain. And then we go down a little bit further, and it says all Buddhas of past, present, and future through faith and prajna paramita attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. What are they doing? I'll leave it at that.
Good morning. My name is Ryan, and I'm.
Look a little louder. No, you're just your voice. That's only for you.
Good morning. My name is Ryan. I'm very new to the practice, and a lot of the Dharma talks that we have here. You had mentioned the Plum Village app that has helped me a lot throughout the weeks learning. And another app I found is called Secular Buddhism by Noah Rasheta, which I've really enjoyed. And that line that was mentioned of nothing to attain. He really talked powerfully to me on the concept of aimlessness, and that we are always trying to get to that next thing or get to that next goal. And that's, I guess, what speaks to me in this. And he related, I think it was the same episode of a Tibetan story where a man is on the side of a river and there's a monk on the other side. And he yells to the monk, "Hey, how do I get to the other side?" And the monk listens and looks around confused and says, "You are on the other side." And it deals with perspective, and certainly a funny story, but that hey, if I get there, then it'll be better. And that hey, I have to get to this next thing, where to me that speaks that there is nothing to attain. So thank you.
I'm glad you said that, because I would just like to remind everybody of that. There is nothing to attain. My teacher, if ever I said I have a goal or I want to do that, he would stop me in a heartbeat. Once, when you set up a goal, you're helping yourself fail, because every time I'm talking about a religious goal, not a work goal or something like that, but I mean a spiritual goal. But every time you maybe stumble or make a little error, you're going to criticize and hurt yourself, and that gets in your way. You can become your own worst critic in that way. Be gentle. Be your own best friend.
Just one last thing to say. There is a if you're interested in learning more, there is a book by Red Pine, and that is his translation of the Heart Sutra. So if you are interested in kind of digging into this a little deeper, that's a good resource.
I think I did a talk on that book a couple weeks ago. I remember it sitting here. All right. Okay.
I had one thing I wanted to say, Hungsu, if that's okay. Someone at my school passed away this week, and I'm a leader of a student organization there for people in my program, and the person was in my program. And so I was kind of asked to, talk with people and see, if I could, help. And I was really trying to come up with something that, was useful and compassionate. And I was thinking about Thich Nhat Hanh and the common Buddhist saying about enlightenment occurs when a wave realizes it is the ocean. And I came up with this, and I think it fits really well with the Heart Sutra in the discussion of emptiness, or at least being in the flow of things. And it's something like, when the moon pulls the tide to the sand, tide forgets it is the ocean, and then it remembers.
Very poetic.
Thank you, Will. I just wanted to add too that we are all made of non-us elements. Like Thich Nhat Hanh says, this morning I had some coffee, and I wouldn't have had the coffee without the barista, or without my girlfriend making the order, or with the coffee beans and all this stuff. So there's so much things that we don't even realize are a part of us. And that's what the emptiness means. It's not like we are completely empty, but there's no beginning cause. It's like matter is not created nor destroyed. It just moves through different matter.
Wave in the ocean. All right, please prepare yourself for meditation. I'm going to do a guided meditation today from a small verse that Wei Neng, he was one of the Zen patriarchs in China, he gave to his students one day. And this is hopefully will help you understand the falling away of the non-Buddha aspect of our lives. Deluded, a Buddha is a being. Enlightened, a being is a Buddha. A foolish Buddha is a being. A wise being is a Buddha. A biased Buddha is a being. An unbiased being is a Buddha. As long as your mind is biased, the Buddha dwells in a being. The moment you wake up unbiased, a being becomes a Buddha. Your mind contains a Buddha. Your Buddha is the real one. if you didn't have the Buddha mind, where would you go to find a Buddha? We bow. That little reading contained the word biased, and it maybe speaks to our time, but so often when we hear that word, we think in terms of racial or gender bigotry. In this case, the word bias means I'm passing judgment on something, anything. And it doesn't necessarily mean bad judgment. I could judge something good. I could judge it neutral. The fact is, I'm judging it. Now, the Buddha has taught us to never compare ourselves with someone. Don't think that I am better than you. Don't think that I am worse than you. Don't think that I am the same as you. We are simply what we are. But when we start judging, that's when we start dividing. Any comments or questions? Let William come do his thing. And for anybody new, you notice William walked around the back. We try to avoid walking in front of everybody else.
Thank you, William. I'm just curious about practices. This idea of seeing things without judgment is hard. We, as you guys were saying, we do this naturally, and I just wondered if you have any suggestions for practices to sort of help with all of that, knowing that there is no surefire cure for it, and humans do this.
I was going to ask you that same thing.
I'm
I'm trying to be flippant, but it is. Sometimes I might go 8 or 9 minutes without judging something.
But you catch yourself.
Yeah, but then there's other times when I'm like a stone going down a stairway. Boom, 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 boom.
Me too.
Huh?
I said me too.
Yeah. It is. That's where what we just did, where meditation comes in. Maybe that's the answer to your question then.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, wise man. It is through that practice that we observe ourselves, observe our thoughts, and observe our reactions and our responses. Teacher?
Blessings. I'm walking this back to William.
I just have a quick response to Nathan's question or statement is think about your adjectives. How do you describe the person that just walked through the door? It's kind of an interesting exercise to put yourself through.
I love language, and that just hits me so good. Well, good, well, how you like that? Yeah, think of those adjectives. I wrote on the board downstairs, how would I like this said about me? But then it's not only people, but we judge things and events and thoughts and everything. Meditation guides us, practice. What does that word practice mean? We just keep practicing, we keep doing, we keep trying. And luckily, there's nobody sitting on a cloud somewhere writing down, let's see, Nathan, we just, it is our observation of ourselves. And sometimes I'm a really nice guy, and sometimes I'm a real thump-de-dum-thump-bump. All right. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will go through this list. Oh, the announcements here. There's the Radical Dharma Book Club. It's the first Monday of each month. And all these things which I'm saying, you can find the particulars by going to our website, grzen.org. ZenGR. Thank you.
It's Wednesday.
Huh? Did I say Monday? Oh. Thank you. Let me start over. Guess what? Wednesdays of the first Wednesday of every month, we have the Dharma Club. And I always give that wrong because that used to be our old address.
Yes.
What is our new one?
ZenGR.org.
Okay, ZenGR.org. We just switched it. All right. Then on Thursday, every Thursday, downstairs in the community room, we have a Dharma discussion group that begins at 9:30, and you can join on Zoom. Who does Jukai? Jukai. Talk about it.
Jukai on the 14th of May, Saturday. It's the Zen style of the 5 precepts. So it's just the translation of 5 precepts. Jukai.
Okay.
It's a ceremony where some people are going to be ordained by a. She used to be here, Shuji.
And she will be giving the Dharma talk the following day, Sunday. There's a Lojong meditation that's on, the next one is May 15th, and then Monday, June 1st. That's the full moon or as close to it as we can get. And Lojong is a mindful training of the mind for compassion. The Grand Rapids Board of Directors meets the 4th Sunday of each month here. And if you want to sit in, you usually can, unless there's I don't see why you can't. And there's Buddhist-based recoveries Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And it says ZenGR right here on the bottom. I love you. But anyway, check it out on zengr.org for any of these for the particulars. If there's nothing else, let's stand and say our.
One more thing.
Oh, Kate, I'm sorry.
Good morning. My name is Kate. My Dharma name is Ambo. And I'm just here to remind you that this temple operates solely because of your generosity of service and also monetary contributions. No one at the temple receives any financial compensation for the service they provide. If you'd like to support the temple, you can go to zengr.org/donate, which is our website. You can look on the weekly newsletter. There are dana boxes by both entrances. And we have a little shop downstairs where we sell some things to support your practice. And I'll be down there after service if you want to look at that. I think that's, and if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link at the bottom of the page. Thank you.
Now I'm going to be mindful. Am I ready? Are we ready for the closing gospel? Is there anything I forgot? All right. Shall we stand? The closing gospels are on what page? 9, I believe. And together we say, for all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body,
I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
And if we would face each other, you guys this way, us guys that way, we will bow to each other. Have a good day, y'all.
Take care. We're just gonna take care of the back row cushions and put them in this room. Everything else will stay, and gather up the booklets. I'm sure someone will come around and get us back for you.